there were no king protests all over not just the United States, but the world on Saturday. There were 15,000 people reportedly in Houston at the No Kings protest. That's at least per organizers of it. 13,500 to 15,000 gathered in downtown Houston to show support. They are a response to what they believe is overreach by President Donald Trump and opposition to authoritarian leadership. It was in Chicago. If you didn't see the video from Chicago, holy shit, a lot of people were there. I believe one of my friends was actually out there. There's a lot of people. I mean, that's an impressive amount of people to be rallied for anything. I am at the point in my life where I don't know what is and what isn't AI, but I have yet to see something report that this was artificial intelligence. Boston, there also was a protest. This is posted by Lincoln Square HQ. I have not seen it fact-checked on X, but seems to have been a lot of people in Boston, Massachusetts. To bring it back to just what this was all about, it's cool that people feel that they can, in our country, en masse, protest against something that they don't like. That's part of what makes our country great. You do have the right to protest anything. I don't personally understand what protests accomplish, but at the very least, for these people, it's a mass gathering of like-minded people who want you to know that there is a large percentage of our country that doesn't like the president. Do things get a little bit wonky with these protests? Yes. I thought it was pretty ridiculous that there was a No Kings protest in, of all places, London, England. Who would have thought? They literally have a king. But there was a protest in London, England. All right. Cool. I also saw that some of these global protests against kings had their rhetoric toned down. Specifically, this, which was written by Democrats abroad. We've changed the No Kings theme of other events around the world to no tyrants so as not to mix messages in a country with a monarchy. We're also swapping out no crowns in favor of no clowns. What? If you're going to do a No Kings protest the king. Otherwise, do you actually have the right to protest? Aren't you living under the authoritarian regime that you are protesting in a country that's not yours? I think this was happening in Canada too. Doesn't Canada, well, they have official independence from England. Aren't they a part of the British Commonwealth? Don't they have kings and queens on their fucking coins? Whatever. Weird, right? But hey, it's a good time for like-minded people, you know? A lot of dancing going on. It's like a high school musical protest. I mean, look, they're just grooving. This is a protest against authority. Look at them. They're getting down. I can do it too. Wait, was I doing it with them? No, I guess not quite. But hey, listen, you want to protest? Go ahead, protest. If you're going to protest kings, make sure you're also protesting LeBron James. I think it's ridiculous that we let LeBron James refer to himself as King James. Right? No Kings, no Burger King. No Kings. Why the fuck is there a team called the Sacramento Kings? Why is there a team called the Los Angeles Kings? What are we doing? Wasn't there like a Sacramento Monarchs team or something too in the WNBA? Ugh. We do have a weird culture that obsesses over the British royal family, but no kings. The British royal family wouldn't exist in that subculture without a monarchy that has been at least in a figurehead in charge of England and other countries for the longest time. Some of them, like the byproduct of hundreds of years of incest. We are weirdly fascinated with them, but no kings. No kings. It would be really funny if there was a no queens protest, but like they would require a feminine version of Trump or something like that. Maybe Caitlyn Jenner someday. I don't know. You can protest no king. So I'm not here to tell you, hey, you shouldn't have done that. I'm not here for that. But when talking about authoritarianism in government, I wish that the left would be a little more reflective of things that were rather authoritarian in the not so distant past that they sometimes gaslight us about. I say this as somebody who lived in Seattle and saw a city shut down for longer than any other city in the country, and this directly affected my employment, my job. And considering I'd moved up there, hoping to, at the very least, stay there for a few years being on the radio, when the city got to a point where everyone was working from home, no one was driving in, all businesses were closed, like I'm just happy that the people that were the parent company of my radio station kept us employed as long as they did. I'm really thankful for that. But how could you possibly succeed in a city that cracked down as much as they did and that got mad at anybody for asking questions, for pushing back? It's a mindset that I've noticed while up there in Seattle. At times, when a rule is put in place, people just fall in line with it. They don't ask a question about it. I'd point to one. I've never understood why people drive so slow in Seattle. Speed limits are 55 everywhere, and people actually abide by the speed limits. Now, I am from Houston, Texas, and people drive like maniacs here, and perhaps I have become a maniac thinking that he's on the Autobahn driver. But I always felt like when a rule was put in place in Seattle, people in Seattle were going to follow it and not ask the questions. And as I lived there longer and longer, I started to be like, isn't this crazy? But when you ask these questions, you have to ask the right people these questions, because a lot of people would dump on you and push back on you if you ask about it. But, we hear a lot of talk about authoritarianism, and a lot of people just do not like Donald Trump. And that's fine. But shouldn't you not like small businesses being shut down during the pandemic while big corporations get to stay open? Shouldn't you not like seeing people lose their job because they refused to take a medical procedure that at the time seemed experimental, that you couldn't go into a bar or a restaurant without proof that you had received this procedure, that over time was told to us by those in government had a 100%, is the word efficacy? Efficacy? I don't know. I'm not the smartest person in the world, as you can tell. But there was a moment in time where we were told that vaccine, like, it would stop the spread entirely. If you get it, you can't spread it to other people. And then slowly over time, they're like, well, that's not actually the case. It was like, well, it shouldn't have been the case ever. But that was the messaging. That was how it was framed by people in politics to the public. And if you question that, you could theoretically be censored online or get in trouble. If you didn't fall in line, you could lose your job. You couldn't visit loved ones who were sick and dying in specific parts of the country. Schools were shut down. And, you know, they go a little bit further. In recent times, certain states were removing political candidates that weren't in line with the ideology from the ballot. We had a nominee for president after Joe Biden announced he wasn't running that was not selected by the people. It was selected by people behind the scenes. I get that a lot of people look at Donald Trump and they see authoritarianism, but you should see authoritarianism everywhere, not just because of the guy with the hair, you know? So to go back to the No Kings protests and, you know, protesting against authoritarianism, hey, if you want to show that you're sick of what's happening right now, whatever it is, and you actually have a sound argument as to what it is that you're protesting against, great, by all power, do it. But what I hate about events like this is it gives politicians that we should all be annoyed by a platform to pander with very little substance behind said pandering. I saw that a favorite of many, Jasmine Crockett, spoke while at Houston City Hall. Here is a Instagram video of that.
The little turd in charge. He's wreaking havoc on this country.
The little turd in charge is wreaking havoc on this country.
And every time that I travel, it doesn't matter if I'm in a small town, a big city, what I consistently hear is people saying that they are feeling hopeless. And let me tell you something. I understand why people would feel that way. But let me tell you, if
she loves to say, let me tell you.
you continue to allow them to make you feel hopeless, they will win. Today is about showing the rest of the world who we are.
Okay, but you're hopeless to stop any of what's happening with these protests, which, again, hey, it's your right to do it. But don't tell me to not feel hopeless, because my hope rests upon people like you impacting change. And when you're as divisive as this specific candidate are, how the fuck are you supposed to actually get any compromises across the aisle? Huh? More from Jasmine. And look, I know some people like her, but I think she's fake. I say that because she's one of those people that talks with a different accent around different people. It's kind of like in The Departed. You ever seen that scene where they're confronting Leonardo DiCaprio's character, Martin Sheen's character, and Mark Wahlberg's character? And they're like, oh, you probably had a different accent on the weekends, huh? You're with your uncle on the weekends, hanging in the Southie projects, and on the during the week, you're up in Andover. So that's one of the politicians that I don't think help our country at all. I think this person is what you would call a TikTok or Instagram politician, in that, like, they are good at creating viral clips of themselves. It's kind of the same way you see some stand-up comics who are great with crowd work, but maybe don't have that much substance. They post the videos and clips of them doing crowd work. Like, this person is very good at getting clips of herself out there. So everyone knows who she is, but is there a lot of substance behind what she does other than pointing the finger? I don't really think so. Look, the right has their fair share of people like this too, but it seems like the No Kings protest was just a platform for people to pander. Here's another example of that. Here is a politician who has been in power for, I believe, what's that, like 40 years, doing something symbolic. That is Nancy Pelosi, everybody. Look at that. She broke a crown. She showed him. Meanwhile, she's making tons of money because she probably knows about what's going on in the government because she's been in power for such a long period of time. And no kings, but hey, running as a congressperson for 40 plus years, when you're approaching 90, that's fine. It's totally fine. Liz Warren had a post. Liz Warren said, since 1773, the people of Boston have made it clear about how they feel about kings. Okay, but Liz, you're not from there. You're from Oklahoma. Actually, it was a Coug, believe it or not. Did you know that? Liz Warren was a coug? Go look it up. And you know what? Rah, rah, you know, strong, powerful women. Go cougs, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, stop acting like you're from Massachusetts. Don't play that. We got Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who personally I was never aware of until after he stepped in for Lori Lightfoot. There was a story about Brandon Johnson grooming bill. What was it? He spent $36,000 on cosmetics in 2024 and 2023, including $8,200 on a makeup artist. Here is Brandon Johnson at the Chicago No Kings saying something in front of a bunch of people that really lacks a lot of substance. Hang on a second. It's not like his mouth is moving there and there's no words. Paul had to unmute the website, which he sometimes forgets to do.
Are you all ready to defend this democracy? Are you ready to fight fascism? Are you prepared to destroy authoritarianism once and for all? Let the world hear you. No kings.
No kings. Okay. I mean, yeah, but like, hey, what are your ideas? Like, you're in charge of a city that clearly does not get along with the president of the United States. And it seems like all pushback from your city towards the president, perhaps justified, is fuck you. Okay. But what are you working on other than pushing back on what the president's trying to do? I mean, given the pushback that a lot of these local governments have been able to pull off, whether it's here or in Seattle, there's one Seattle politician, I forget if it's the attorney general or the governor, whose entire policy is like, we're going to push back on everything Trump tries to do. Okay, but like, hey, work on yourself instead of being intentionally adversarial to pander. So, that's Brandon Johnson. I think there was more from Brandon Johnson. Here he is giving a little bit of a Howard Dean kind of outline of everything he's against.
If my ancestors as slaves can lead the greatest general strike in the history of this country, taking it to the ultra-rich and big corporations, we can do the same today. I'm calling on black people, white people, brown people, Asian people, immigrants, gay people from around this country to stand up against tyranny and to send a clear message to the ultra-rich and big corporations. We are going to make them pay their fair share in taxes to fund our schools, to fund jobs, to fund healthcare, to fund transportation. Democracy will live on because of this generation. Are you ready to take it to the courts and to the streets?
Oh, look at all the hand movement he's doing. Do you think he almost went off? You know, I mean, he's got to have a massive pants tent going on right here, because he's got all these people that, like, they're hearing what he's saying. They're hearing it. They're excited about what he's saying. But, like, what the fuck is he actually saying here? By the way, didn't mention trans people. Did not mention trans people. I'm just saying. So, all I'm trying to say here is, hey, you push back if you don't like them. But you guys are in charge. You guys are supposed to be doing the job of the people that are protesting, perhaps for you. No kings, okay. But you actually have the power to check them. And these, to me, feel like empty platitudes being delivered by these politicians. I think you're just pandering and using this opportunity as a moment to pander.